Well, welcome back. We are looking today, ties off with Tyler and
Erica.
All right, so here we go. We're talking about marriage, and Lori has compiled for us, Erica, some of the top questions marriages or people in marriage ask.
Right.
All right. So we need to kind of set the background because people have watched our story. They've followed us for some time now. How long have we been married as of this taping right now?
We have been married for 16 years.
Glorious years. This is awkward.
Hold on a minute. Well, we're going to take a break. Hold on. I'm making sure because I get confused. 2009.
2009, and we're in 2025. So we've been married 15 solid years. We're getting ready to complete 15, moving into 16.
So 15 years.
Yeah,
Okay.
so a decade and a half, all right? You were 19 when we got married.
20.
So, okay, whatever. So you've almost been with me longer than you were not.
Yes.
Okay. So how has it been being married to old TCG?
It's always an adventure.
An adventure, that's a good way to put it. We'll take that, okay?
What is one thing about marriage that no one warned you about, but you wish that they had?
The seasons of lull, the monotony, the mundaneness. So, when you watch, I feel like when people come into marriage, the majority of them come in young, and just like we did, and the majority of the idea that people have in marriage is what they watch on TV, what they've seen on, now on social media.
Yeah.
And the problem is good TV is not good TV with normality.
Right.
So it's either got to be incredibly good or incredibly bad. Social media, people don't put the regular pictures up. It's always the
Right.
photoshopped. It's always the good.
Vacation.
Yeah, that's right.
All that. Yep.
When it's the high seat. I think if you're not careful, when you go into marriage and you think that it's always fantastic, that's when you get messed up, I think. I wish somebody had warned me that it's okay to not have anything to do that night.
Yeah.
It's okay when you're riding in the car and you don't talk to each other.
Yeah. It's not really based on your emotions all the
No,
time.
and I think that would be my biggest. That'd be my biggest. Okay, I have the second. I would say number 2.
Okay.
All right. The second thing I wish somebody had told me about marriage is how little you know. And here's what I say by that. If you're not careful, you go into marriage and you don't grow.
Yeah.
You don't learn. Most people don't go into marriage knowing how to be a better husband,
Right.
knowing how to be a great wife, or whatever the word is. And the only way that you learn that is by learning it. You can't know what you don't know. I think John Maxwell said that. What books are you reading? What podcasts are you listening to? I wish somebody had told me, keep growing, keep learning, keep improving kind of thing.
Yeah.
Some people are more prone to being stagnant. I'm not. That's not me. You probably
am.
are. You're probably more of a comfortable person.
Yeah.
So I wish somebody had told me that. I wish somebody had sat us down. We didn't have marriage counseling. We didn't have premarital counseling. We didn't have
I
anything.
think too that a lot of things as from your childhood and growing up also
Yeah.
like play into marriage, good and bad.
Yeah, I wish somebody would have told us that you actually are messed up. Like you do have baggage and you need to work through that baggage. Okay, Erica, let me ask you this question.
Okay.
This one's going to make you really uncomfortable.
Okay.
All right. How do you keep love alive during seasons when you don't feel, quote, in love?
I would say every marriage has seasons, whether it's trials that you're going through within your family or outside of your family, seasons of where other things probably take your attention more than your marriage. So I think that sometimes we think marriage, love should just come naturally at all times. But I do think there are seasons in life where you have to purposely put in the effort and put in things to do to make it through those seasons where you might not feel completely in love.
I'm trying to think. So I think people have got to define words. What do words mean? When you say, how do you keep love alive? I'm going to imagine what they mean by that is the outward affection of it, the show of it, when you're not, quote unquote, in love. I don't really know what that means to say you're not in love. I think sometimes we throw around this junk. I would imagine what they're saying. Now, I could be wrong, and you never cease to tell me if I am wrong, so tell me if I am wrong here. When somebody says, how do you keep love alive when you don't feel in love? I think what they're meaning is, how do I feel or act that certain way when I really don't feel like doing that, right?
Yeah.
So the way I would say is you got to be selfless. Now, that's hard, obviously, but you have to make a conscious effort to do for the other what they need or how they, what is it they receive? What is it Gary Chapman called the love
Their
language
love
thing?
language,
Yeah, so I think that's what you've got to do. If you're not careful, the reason that quote unquote love has died or you don't feel in love is because you don't feel that person is showing you love or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's all. That most of the time that's because they're probably showing you love how they receive love. Those
Right.
again, if you haven't read that book, people probably don't understand that. That would be my opinion.
I think in busy seasons too, whether it's in the season you are with your
Yeah.
children or with your job, there are some times where you have to schedule. You
Yeah.
have to purposely schedule.
We're not good at that though. I
No,
would
we're
say.
not good at that. It's very hard when you have kids. I would say in our season of life.
Well, our
and
kids are pretty busy. So
work
we've got
and-
Mason and Ella. You stay pretty busy with them. You do them most of the time. Like you handle all that. I don't know that people realize how busy I am.
Right.
I stay busy a lot. So we're not good at that.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a question. What are the things we're not good at? Us personally, marriage-wise. And we don't have to do individually, but as a couple.
I would say we have very different love languages.
Yeah.
And I would say we both.
Don't most people, though?
Yeah, I mean, I would say
'Cause opposites
most
attract.
couples have different love languages. But I know for me, I always result back to showing love how I like to be shown love. And also showing love as I was taught to show
As a
love.
kid, yeah, everybody does that. Okay, I'll tell you what I don't think we're good at as a couple. I don't think we're good at goal setting. That's probably not our forte. I personally am good at goal setting. You're probably good at goal setting, but together, like, where do we want to be? Where are we hoping to be? And I would say that probably we are like most couples in that you're so busy, it's really easy to miss the moments.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are like that. We're probably guilty of those things.
Yeah.
All right, let me go. We got to keep going. Okay, Erica, I'm gonna ask you this
Okay.
because I probably fit into this. Okay,
Okay.
how do you handle situations where one partner changes significantly over time? You answer that, then I'll answer it.
Yeah, I would say, I think we all change, whether it's through
I agree with that.
traumas that we face, trials that we face, our ages, occupation, stuff like that. So I think life changes all of us. So I think, when we were first married, we were so young, we had not experienced a lot of quote unquote life, hard things,
Yeah.
And so I think over time, different stuff that comes in can change a person. It can make you more guarded. It can make you quieter, less outgoing, or it can, it can have various things. So I think you have to understand that we all change. It's not just you that's changed. I changed. We all change as human beings. And constantly trying to learn each other in where they're at.
I think, I could be wrong. I think that change is not hard if you're willing to go with it. The problem is not that we don't know how do you adapt to somebody that's
Right.
changing. It's you're uncomfortable with that.
Yeah.
You're really uncomfortable because what does this look like?
Yeah.
I think change is okay and you can deal with it as long as you still stay committed. As long as the person knows, hey, I may be changing. I may be, I hate the word evolving, but you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I'm becoming, what
Right.
I'm growing, I'm getting old or whatever. As long as you know, hey, as I do this, I may be changing, but I'm still committed.
Right.
I
I
may
think you
be,
also have to put yourself in the other
I think
person's
that's a
shoes
good
as
word.
well.
Yeah.
When we were first married, you weren't traveling, you weren't doing any of that.
Yeah.
That has changed drastically. And that therefore changed your life, therefore changed all of our lives. But I think the easiest thing for me that I've done is try to take myself out of my own situation and how I view things and desires that I might want and put myself in the other person's situation.
I think that's good.
And I think you always have to root for each other. Like, I think you always have to be each
I
other's
don't know why we
biggest
think change
cheerleaders.
is bad.
Yeah.
Now,
I think some people...
I don't like change.
You don't like
I don't like
change.
change.
I'm very comfortable with change. I would
Are you
say.
really?
I would say I'm way more
You may be-
comfortable than you.
Well, I mean, a slug is probably
Yeah.
more comfortable than
No,
I
I
am.
can't say maybe like I'm a
This
very
is true.
I'm a very structured person.
Yeah.
But in my day-to-day I'm structured. But that's what people always find funny is I'm so type A, so structured, but big changes
I'm
like
structured.
moving to another
I'm very structured.
No, you're not.
Okay.
Another state was very
Yeah. I think you're right.
Unbothered.
I think as long as people know that change is not bad, as long as you communicate. I think another problem is that as we change, we don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
You don't actually see yourself changing.
Yeah.
But as you change, communicating that, I don't like that anymore. Like, I'm not a big fan of, let's not go there. Like,
Right.
I'm not a huge fan. Hey, let's try this new, whatever.
Right.
Just communicate that. You know?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. You got a question?
Let's see. What does forgiveness look like in a long-term marriage?
What does forgiveness look like in a long-term marriage? Okay, so I actually preached about that a couple Sundays ago when I talked about what is forgiveness.
Right.
Okay, forgiveness is simply turning the back to,
Yeah.
not focusing on. It is impossible to forget things.
Yeah.
I think it is, especially when you're hurt by somebody. Now, every betrayal, pain, trial, trauma situation, those are all different. There
Yeah.
are levels to those things.
Right.
Okay, we got to address, in God's eyes, forgiveness is forgiveness for this sin or for that sin.
Right.
It's not that way in people.
Right.
That's not how people operate. We do think of things differently. For instance, me telling you, hey, I only bought 2 Snicker bars when I bought 3 Snicker bars.
Right.
Okay, that's a lie, but that's a different level of lie than I just spent $25,000.
Right.
Okay. When people don't
Or saying a crossword is very different than
cheating on
having
somebody.
an affair.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that's number one. You've got to realize that. Because of that, it takes more time sometimes to turn the back to.
Right.
Okay. I would hope that if I bought 3 Snicker bars instead of 4 Snicker bars or whatever, that you could move past that a lot quicker than a betrayal.
Like when you spent $35 on razor blades the other day to have them delivered to your house.
Wow.
You did.
That's painful.
You did.
Okay.
I let it go.
Can we talk about this?
I let it go.
Okay, you want to address our marital issues right here? Let's do it right now in front of God and everybody. Okay.
I'll let it go.
Here's what happened, okay? I forgot to ask you to get them at Sam's Club, okay? I forgot.
Or Target
Or wherever. So I needed them that night.
Right.
Now, patience is probably
Right.
not my strong suit.
That's the key.
And so,
That's the
did
key.
you know that, you may not have known this, did you know that you can get on the Walmart app, #sponsorship, did you know that you could get on the Walmart app and order them and they'll deliver them to you? Hold on. Okay, there was a chance though, if I went the free route of delivery, that they wouldn't have gotten there in time.
Well, no route is free on Walmart unless you pay the $99
There's
a year.
There's levels,
Okay.
baby, levels.
Because the day before you had also gotten something delivered from Walmart.
See, now you're just being ugly. Now
Fish
you're
hooks.
just, me and Mason were going fishing.
That's fine. That was $3.99 because you just needed it sometime
That's
that
right.
day.
There wasn't a schedule. Remember how busy I am? You just talked about that.
This
you just told these people that I'm
was
busy.
$3.99 plus $14.99.
Okay, next question.
Plus
What
the
does
cost of the
forgiveness look
razors.
like? Okay, so back to the question. All right, what does forgiveness look like? Forgiveness looks like not focusing on what was done.
Yeah.
Now, again, those are levels. A betrayal of a marriage, of a commitment, an affair, a real lie,
Right.
a true betrayal.
Right.
that's going to take time for someone to move past.
Right.
If they're committed to the relationship, then it takes a long time to move past that.
And it's probably going to have more involved than just,
man.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
That's
and
counseling.
absolutely. But that's what forgiveness looks like.
Right.
It's time, it's commitment, and let me say something. So if a husband and wife are married and the husband betrays the wife or vice versa, the person that was betrayed,
Right.
all right, they are the ones that were hurt. Mm-hmm. A lot of times this person over here looks at them and says, why can't you get over this?
Right.
You lost your privileges, homie.
Right.
You don't get to say to that person,
You don't get to determine their time.
that's exactly right. You've lost the power. And I think that people forget that because we're such a selfish generation.
No.
You lost your privileges, so you're just going to hold on for this ride as long as it takes.
Yeah, I think another thing you said in that same message in a roundabout way was, and this is how I always view forgiveness, whether it's maritally or out, friendship wise or different things, is unforgiveness truly only hurts you.
Yes.
Like you are only limiting yourself by not forgiving. Now that doesn't make it easy.
Right.
But, we as women, I think, tend to get stuck on things a little bit more. And lots of times, like for me, a lot of times I'll even get stuck on the smaller things than bigger things. That's just how my brain works. But then you have to step outside yourself and be like, this is only hindering me. It's only hindering me from my relationship with my husband. It's only hindering me from my relationship with Christ. It's only hindering our children and all that's involved in the home. So I always try to remember that,
Yeah,
I
think so.
To try to push yourself, because it's easy again just to get in this, I didn't do anything wrong. Yeah. I'm not budging on this. Yeah. But, it doesn't affect me, but it really does.
When somebody holds unforgiveness, normally why they're doing it, they don't realize they're doing this. You are hoping that by being mean or ugly or bitter, whatever that word is, by being harsh to that person, I'm going to show them and teach them how much I'm hurting.
Right.
And it just doesn't work that way.
Right.
You're not
or you
actually
want to give
hurting
them repercussions.
No, that's exactly, yes.
They're really not, because
absolutely.
A lot of times if it's something small, you've already moved,
right.
Men naturally have already moved on, not even thought about it. So the only one that's eating alive is that person.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Perfect.
Okay, next question. Okay. Erica, what's been your biggest challenge as a couple, and how did you overcome it? I know the answer to that one.
I would say our biggest challenge is because we got married young and then we had children right away. We did not have a lot of time, just me, and we didn't date long. It wasn't long before we got married. Yes. I don't think we had a ton of time to get to know each other, and we were super young. So we have long said, if I could still have the same children I have, the same life I have, everything the same, but maybe would have given ourselves
a
little more time together, we would do that. But then we also turn and say, I think some of those early days made us what we are.
Here we are at this point, though, and our kids are in the teenage years and growing up. And, soon they'll be moved on.
And you still feel like you have a lot of life left to live.
God willing, we do.
Yeah.
That's not what that's been a challenge. I think our biggest challenge has been some of the traumas.
Yeah.
Some of the deaths, and how do you overcome those? I don't think people quite realize what happens in those traumas is that you are healing as a person.
Yeah.
A lot of times you'd never heal as a couple.
Yeah.
So, for instance, when your sister
heal
died,
at different rates.
That's exactly right. When your sister died, what ends up happening is that was obviously a lot more traumatic for you than it was for me.
Right.
Not even comparing that. And what happens is time goes on a couple of weeks, and because it wasn't as deep for me,
right?
Because it wasn't my sibling, I'm over here a couple of weeks later, and I'm wanting to kind of let's go, but you're hurting,
right?
And so that's always been difficult. I think a lot of patience is needed there.
Yeah.
Now,
I do think those times, though, after you've gotten through the traumatic times and I do think in those times, for me, I felt drew us closer as a couple because you see
in
each
the
other at your most vulnerable, at your most broken, at your most, several of the traumas we've been through, we didn't have anybody else but each other during those traumas.
I remember when Kaylee died. Obviously, that was a lot less traumatic. We took on probably different roles because you and your mom and dad were struggling so much with that. And I don't know that I stepped in and became something. It just it just happens.
Yeah.
And so I think that was one thing. But when other things happen, you losing baby or whatever. That you're the problem with that when a couple loses. I was preaching last night, and this couple came up. I don't know if you saw them, Avery. This couple came up, and I mean they were just sobbing. This guy was a beast of a man, and he was pitiful sobbing. And they had lost a baby. I don't know if the baby was 2-3 months old, whatever it was. The problem with some of those traumas is that you're not just hurting as individuals.
Yeah.
You're hurting as a couple.
Yeah.
And those have been really tough.
Yeah.
So how do you overcome the patience?
Because I think our traumas that were individual were probably easier
absolutely,
to overcome, as long as we each understood, which I think we've always done a pretty good job doing, of giving each other our time in our individual traumas. But the ones that affected both of us equally yet differently were much harder.
Here is my advice to couples going through bad trauma. This is going to be a good clip. Here's my advice for couples going through bad trauma. Be very careful not to judge the other's pain based off of your pain.
Yeah.
People don't hurt at the same level externally. Just because they're not crying doesn't mean they're not hurting, but just because you are crying doesn't mean they're emotional.
Right.
Let each other heal and deal as you can.
Yeah.
That would be my advice.
What do you do when you and your spouse have completely opposite views on something important?
Well, I'm different on this, than probably a lot of people. I'm pretty old school.
Yeah.
I think there are levels of decisions.
I was going to say, I think we probably in that area run our home very old school.
Yeah, we're very old school in this regard. We consider each other. I consider you, consider me, and I consider you. But at the end of the day, the ultimate responsibility and consequence falls on me.
Right.
That's just biblical. I feel like
I always feel like I can voice my opinion,
Yeah.
which I think for me is key because I do like to be able to vocalize my feelings. But I've always had the makeup or standard of at the end of the day, you are the head of the household.
Yeah, this new fandangled feministic stuff, I can't take it because there's no such thing as a two-headed monster.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. No. And if it does, it is a monster.
Yeah.
Somebody has to have the responsibility. God's ordained this so that the male is the head of the house. The problem is most men don't take charge, which means a lot of women have to take charge. Okay, so when you have differing opinions, from my perspective, being quote-unquote the head of this house, I would be a fool not to listen.
Right.
And to listen to what you're saying, because a lot of times, most of the time, almost every time actually, you're looking at things that I'm never looking at.
Yeah.
How is this going to affect the children? How is this going to affect this? How is this going to affect that?
I think we have learned to at least hear each other on certain decisions because you're always looking from, a future standpoint or different and I'm looking children's standpoint. We each have our strengths. That's what makes us mesh so well because we are so different, but we're kind of like a puzzle. We come together.
Well, that's the Bible says
knowing, I think we've learned through time, if it is a future decision, a big decision, a home or something like that, I normally know that is your wheelhouse.
Right.
That is not. I try to just stick in areas that I know God's called me to, and B, that I'm confident in. Yeah. So lots of times when it comes to children, you will deflect to me and say, okay,
Yeah,
What do you
that's
think?
mutual submission. That's what Paul talks about. Submit yourselves one to
Yeah.
another. But at the end of the day, I have to know you know what you're talking about, but you have to know that I'll be the one that gives account.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. I think as a woman, where you were saying, men have to, I think as a woman, I have to lean back on, even if the final decision was not my opinion, I just always fall back on, at the end of the day, he has the answer for this.
Right.
If it falls apart,
Yeah.
he has to answer it and fix it.
Right.
Like, that's part of the submission, which is a huge role to take on as a husband, but it's also a huge role to a woman to, make sure you stay. I hate to say stay in your place, but
Just in your lane.
in your lane. You have
yeah.
to stay in your lane. I think we've, through the years, have probably gotten a little better at that.
You grow.
Knowing
Yeah.
this is what you're
Good at.
strong in. This is
Yeah.
what you're strong in.
Perfect.
Let's keep it like that.
Okay, Erica, last question for this episode.
Okay.
Right. So we've kindly gone here about some of this in love stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask you a question that was emailed to us.
Okay.
And it's at the end down there. And it's a little bit, again, these are just questions somebody's got to ask. Pastor Tyler, my wife and I are having trouble in our marriage. Your message about headship really helped me, but the things we struggle with are more with her parents butting into our marriage. Number 2, sex in our marriage. If the Lord leads you to deal with these, I would really appreciate. Okay, so let's talk about 2 things.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about, first of all, how do you deal with in-laws and parents?
So I would say for us, and
Yeah.
I remember this distinctly before we got married, our pastor, when we were dating, told us, never let your parents into your marriage, because at the end of the day, blood, the
Yes.
term is true, blood is thicker than water. What dispute me and you have, by tomorrow,
Yeah, it's
we've
over.
moved on and forgot about it. But if I go tell my parent, my mom, this happened, okay, well, she's not looking at it as, oh, they're having a little, you're after
yeah.
my child. Yeah. And that's a blood thing. And so I think we've always done, thankfully, a very good job of that. That was a hard and fast rule of ours. Yeah. We never talk about our marriage. We never even really talk about our family decisions until the decision has been made.
This is what we're doing.
To our parents.
Okay, so we need to kind of preface this. Every family's different.
Yes.
We've got good in-laws.
Yes.
I joke about your mom a lot, but they really are good,
Right.
and my family as well on that
Yeah.
flip side. But there's a couple of rules that we have enacted. How do you deal with in-laws? Okay, you don't. We have always kindly kept a rule. When it comes to an issue with my family, I deal with that.
Yes.
When it comes to an issue with your family, you deal with that. But you have to man up and do it.
Yeah.
If you've got a passive man or a passive, you got to man up, homie.
Yeah.
You need to tell them, and you don't have to be ugly about it.
Right.
You don't have to listen. And I know some in-laws are just jackwagons.
Yeah.
I mean, they need to absolutely have their head stomped in the ground.
Right.
I'm okay with that.
be
But
aggressive.
your families don't. Like
Right.
our families are not that way,
Yeah.
so we can't speak to that. But you have to man up. And I'm a big proponent. I'm old school. Avery is going to laugh at me. I'm old school. Do you know why a big dog barks? Because they feel like they're the biggest dog.
Yeah.
When a bigger dog barks,
Yeah.
they'll stop barking.
Yeah.
Now again, I've not had those issues kind
Yeah.
of thing, but sometimes you just have to say, this is what we're doing as a family.
Yeah.
That's just the deal. So
I think a lot of people too, when it comes to parents, I think one major issue that people don't really talk about or think about is there was truly never leaving and cleaving.
True.
Like, I think there
You love that
are.
statement. You use that all the time.
I do. Now, I will say, as a mom of a teenage boy,
Here we go.
this subject greatly
Bothers you.
bothers me, and I
Yes.
cry every time. But I know truly, biblically,
Yeah.
and I have to constantly remind myself of that, that is what the men are called to do, is to leave and cleave, and women leave and cleave. So I do think sometimes that is the crux of a lot of parental issues in marriage is
Yeah.
you You have not set that boundary. It has nothing to do with your love for your parents. It has nothing to do with your respect of your parents. But ultimately, the head of your home, the head of your heart, is no longer your parents. It is your spouse.
Cut the cord is what we say.
We
Now,
do.
I will say, it is easier to do that when you've got good in-laws.
Yeah.
And so some in-laws need to work on it.
Yeah.
Then some people just need to button down. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's back up. Let's ask an awkward question.
Okay.
Right. In regards to sex and marriage, here's my opinion. You can speak to this.
Okay.
I know of very few marriages, counseling pastorally, where they both are on the same
Right.
Sexual desire level.
Right.
Rarely. I don't know of any. Somebody's always higher or lower than
Right.
the other. So what is your advice on that?
I would say that you both have to continue to grow, and you both have to try to also understand one another.
Yeah.
Because there can be a litany of issues when it comes to intimacy in marriage, whether it is, physical, hormones, age,
Right.
childbirth. Like there is a litany of things that are going to come at that specific subject. So I think the key is, nobody should become stagnant. And that is a lot easier the older you get because you're busy and you get comfortable. Yeah. And then I also think you also have to respect your spouse. You have to, and I think hard conversations, quite honestly.
So here's my marriage advice to a husband and wife is your marriage, physically, emotionally, mentally, sexually, spiritually, if you will think of the other person more than yourself.
Yeah.
That's the rule.
Yeah.
Think of that. What are they thinking? What are they feeling? What are they asking? What are they complaining about? Think about that from their perspective.
Yeah.
Die to self. Think about them. But that's a two-way street.
Right.
It can't just be a one-way street. It's a two-way street. And if you don't, that's when it falls apart.
Yeah. And I think the other thing, and we've talked about this before, don't do anything for a response.
Yes.
That is very easy, I think, in marriage. I'm going to do this for this.
That's right.
And that can lead to a lot of disappointment, a lot of miscommunication, especially when your love language are different, which most people's are. So I think that goes back to what you said. You do something sheerly because you love that person.
I'm going to do this because of you.
Knowing there might be nothing in return.
Good stuff.